The 1 in 5 campaign is a campaign for disabled people by disabled people. 1 in 5 people self-identify of working age within Scotland as having a disability of some sort. So what we aspire to have is political representation that mirrors society. We acknowledge it's going to take time. We're perhaps behind to a certain extent in some of those other comparable underrepresented groups, perhaps such as women or black and ethnic minorities within the Scottish or UK political system, but we believe that if these barriers are broken down at a grassroots level, it will open things up and people can become involved in politics, and with that, better decisions will come from better representation. You're often portrayed as somebody that's not able to get involved in politics because you're stigmatized, you're somebody perhaps who's on benefits. You're not gonna, if you're gonna become active in politics, how can you represent the person that lives on the 10th floor of a tenement block when that block of flats doesn't have a lift? I think in order to get past that obstacle of people's perceptions about disabled politicians is increasing the number of people that are active in politics that have got different sorts of impairments. If you see people that represent you in politics, if you see people that are different from you, you're going to be able to overcome that stigma of disabled politicians and how it is that they can best represent people. If there is a disabled candidate out there representing any party and they are faced with the challenge of trying to speak with their constituent on the 10th floor of a tenement that's got no lift, I would say, why don't you just tell your constituent that you have a disability? Don't hide behind it. From speaking to people, they'll accept it. They'll come down and they'll speak to you. There'll be different ways in which you can communicate. You can use new technology, for example. You can use Skype, FaceTime, and actually come into that constituent's home without you having to climb the tenement stairs in order to get to them. So there are new technologies that people can use, and I think it's just about opening people's minds to that. I was struck by a campaigning group in Argyll and Bute who got in touch, and it was a disabled person who had just joined a political party, and they'd always had their branch meetings in a pub. And the pub venue had their sort of meeting room on the 2nd floor. There was no way that they could get there because they were in crutches. So they asked if I could drop them an email to get them to change it. The guy said that there was no venues around that were accessible. I did a quick search on Google, sent him a couple of links because I had found within 15 minutes that there was a school that was accessible and it was available, and there was 2 council buildings that he could utilise, and they were only £15 for an hour. So it's just about challenging that way, that it's always been done this way, so we can't do anything different. And I think I got an email back from the guy about 2 months later, just saying that he'd been active in the run-up to the general election and he's part of the team. So I think that's another success that the campaign's had. In this new political landscape within Scotland, where you're trying to find ideas where people can work together, it's more consensual. We've got ambassadors from nearly all of Scotland's main political parties. Gordon Aikman, who's raised hundreds of £1000s for MD research. We've got Ryan McMillan, who's also within the Scottish Labour Party. We've got Nicola Ross, who's stood as a candidate in Dundee, and we've also got 2 Green activists, Sarah Anderson and Lorna Murkison. So with that talent pool from all political parties, it's sure to make a change, I believe, fundamentally over the course of the next year on the run-up to Scottish Parliament elections in 2016. And my belief is that with the number of disabled voices that are in place within this campaign, it's going to lead to better decisions.